All right, welcome back to the Twisting Podcast Manga Reaction Edition for Chapter 1128 One Piece. We start off with a nice opening, of course, and the opening is the cover art is the crew riding around up on brooms like they're leaving some type of town. Like it's a mix of like a Harry Potter martial theme with it, except for Jinbei and Zoro, of course. Jinbei and Zoro, of course, are riding around on the dragon itself as they're trying to escape somewhere. But it's pretty dope. I like the cover art with it starting off so far. So the very first part we get into, of course, is how Sanji interacts with Nami. Sanji, of course, we all know his gimmick that he has as a character he is. He says, this cannot be a dream, because if it was a dream, there'd be no man involved. And as he says that, we simply get him taken off with Nami to go meet up with everybody else. And it looks like he's taken off, again, from what I said before, a Lego block. So it looks like the floor is made of Legos, as well as the castle looks like Lego pieces with it. But as he finally gets closer and gets together with the rest of the crew, so we have Zoro, we have Luffy, we have Usopp, we have Nami, and we have Sanji all together. And they were freaking out a little bit. But Luffy tells Usopp, for those Usopp haters, Luffy simply tells them, he says, you could have beaten that cat lion, Usopp. And Usopp simply says, well, he woke up eating me. So, Luffy, does he see the true power that Usopp has? And are we all just sitting here being Usopp haters? Not we all, but those who are hating on Usopp. It's his time to shine, trust me. So he comes into it. He says, Usopp simply gets out his brave stance. So here's what I think. The view, from his view, they're in Elbaf warrior clothes. They're dressed up inside there. But there is no way that Elbaf giant ship has landed. So they're in oversized clothes right now for it. They look like that they're starting to think like, are we giants now? Is it a dream, something like this? What's going on with everything? But they know that for a fact Elbaf is where they're at. It has to be where they're at. And Usopp is taking command and trying to be as tough as he can for it. But they think that it's people inside of a town. So they see a town up ahead, they see a road, they see a giant tree. Of course, the tree itself is the sun god's tree, quote unquote sun god. So they're going to start heading towards the town, of course, because they want to make sure that they can start picking up the rest of the crew if their crew's around. And Nami asked this, is any of the crew around? And of course, Sanji states, Robin is not turning up on my me radar. And and Nami simply states, what are you, a dog now? So, of course, the me radar, the perverted, gimmick that we have from Sanji is starting to really like come out inside this chapter a lot more. And it's not the last time that we're going to see it either. So, starting off with the dreams, now he has the me radar. It's going from there. But they start heading off. The crew is together right now, and they're walking towards something before a giant grasshopper motorcycle, call it a grass chopper. Sorry, it was lame. Pulls up inside there with a guy riding it with a tattoo up on his stomach or on his side that looks like it could be like a tattoo of a sun in a way, with ripples going around it in some other type of form. It's probably an interesting tattoo design. We all know how Oda does. Oda likes to give us those little snippets of like, here's a little bit of information, not too much. But he pulls up. He tells them they're inside of a hurry, and they get to ask a lot of questions. He tells them all, hey, if you guys just head this way right here, I'm sure that the Sun God Castle is the opposite way, but if you want food, head this way. And he gives them directions because he simply says that the castle itself has been ran by a giant cat, which is at the land of gods, which that cat is watching out for everything. And before anything happens, Luffy opens his mouth just to get it shut up by Usopp, because we all know what just happened to that cat. They just beat that cat's ass. Then he talks about, of course, the giant rabbit that ended up getting burned. Luffy used that as food. So the crew we see in the background with Zoro, Sanji, and Nami all start whistling like they don't know what the hell he's talking about, and none of them could play it. But at the end of the day, it's vicious soldiers back there. Don't go that way. And by the time the crew looks up, after he says which way not to go, we see Luffy darting off immediately. And as Luffy darts off, the crew is now going to go after him. But Sanji has some words for, of course, Zoro, because he said, Zoro looks up and says, "Vicious soldiers, huh?" And he has this look on his face like, it's time I could finally fight some people. And Sanji tells him that Luffy acts this way because he feeds off of your energy. You should be ashamed of yourself, Zoro. Not going to stop them, though. Regardless, Luffy was going to do this no matter what happened. Darts off, the crew chases after them, and as Luffy seems to be approaching this long pathway, he simply notices something. It's a person running the same way as him. So he thinks he's going to dodge the person. So he steps off to the side, and he still hits one face first. Boom! He hits a mirror. It's a mirror that he hits that ends up cracking the sky that we have over the land that they're currently in. And as they crack the sky, we simply see that this isn't just a mirror. This is actually a two-way mirror at that, because he cracks it, falls through, and is able to see the inside of the island that they were quote unquote on from the outside, but you couldn't see the outside from the inside. So it's a two-way mirror. And as he breaks through of it, people inside the village itself says the kingdom is in chaos today. It's cracking everything, but clearly something is going on inside there. So we get into it, and as we get into it now, we see that it's Lego pieces outside. It's more clothing, stitching, that's been created. So whoever this sun god is, we see that this person has trapped a bunch of people and a bunch of animals inside of a world that they want to create for themselves, and now is making that its home, I guess, for the most part. And as they get out, they find Chopper. Chopper was crying, and they finally find Chopper. He was up next to be put inside there, and Nami simply says, "You're safe now." As we go through a look at it, the Lego blocks are actually Lego blocks. Luffy picks up a piece of it and looks at it. It's like, oh, well, that's interesting. But as Luffy is picking it up, Sanji's in the background thinking, no wonder when we were burning that rabbit, it was that synthetic residue that was burning along with it. That synthetic residue was the Lego pieces burning as well. But now we see that Sanji has another idea and says that next time he wants to make sure that he's cleaning the women's room, the cabinet for them, because he simply looks at it and says, "Oh my gosh, a two-way mirror, I need that." And Nami kicks him right in the fucking face and simply says, "Don't you dare try to install those things inside of our room." So basically, the kingdom that they were in is made out of all blocks. The humans and the animals, of course, are plopped inside there, and it's time for them to figure out a way to escape or get out somewhere, because now they know for a fact they have to be in a giant's room on Elbaf itself. But before they can do anything possible, a giant snake pops up and comes right at it, and Luffy instantly goes right into full mode to try to attack it. But it's not just a snake, because down low we see that mice are coming, 2 of them, and then from above we see that a giant raven is coming as well. So now it's time for the crew to step up and take these figures out. But as they do it, we hear thumping outside, like somebody's walking up to a giant door. And this person is walking up with a mask on its face that is portraying to be the sun god and a staff in his hand. This person walks up, and as it looks and opens the door, it says, "What's going on inside of my sacred temple? Everything is burning." And it's not Luffy's fault or anybody's fault, because once Luffy hit it inside the heart, everything just started heating up. So now that this giant is inside there, they have these 3 animals trying to attack them. It's time to get the fuck away from them. So the crew simply states and looks, "It's time for us to go." The animals are defeated. The giant snake is now roasting to death, burning down, as Luffy hit it with a Gum Gum Don pistol and punches through its entire skull again, like we see him do to Kizaru. And as he punched through his skull, it's simply time to take off. Crew runs away. And as they run away, that giant cat pops in front of them. And the cat says, as we see from Turner to the Chopper, who can translate, I'll get you for this. And it's simply the cat looks at them and then looks behind him and sees the giant and says, "Fuck that. I gotta go. So they all hop on. The crew is now ready to get up out of here and escape, and they plan their escape route. And they say that if you just keep going straight through, we should be able to break through the opposite side and actually get out through that way. Since we know that the sky itself is fake, we go through the town and break through. It's time to go there. And the giant says, I shall not let you escape, and starts chasing after them as we close out the chapter, the first chapter officially on, hopefully it looks like to be Elbaf Island. So I'm wondering who this guy is. Who is this giant sun god-ish person that's faking to be like a sun god? Because you don't want to fake to be a sun god in the presence of the actual sun god himself. Sun god Nika form Luffy. You will get your ass beat. And I'm pretty sure that they probably won't get to that point. But if they do get to that point, Luffy's going to have to knock his ass out. So it's interesting to see what's going on right now. This cat is dipping off with them on the back right now. And we want to see what we can end up at next time. What are your thoughts about this chapter? I really want to know for sure. We're starting to get some more things. And of course, thank you all for 300 plus subscribers. And we're still climbing up every single day that we have so far currently up on YouTube. Let's continue this journey going strong. And hey, make sure you guys are like, sharing, subbing, subscribing, whatever you can do. Part of the Grand Fleet community to make sure that we keep pushing forward through everything. This is 12 officially signing off.